28 years later. It's directed by Danny Boyle, who directed the first 28 Days Later film that came out in 2002. And also written by Alex Garland, who also written the film for the first one. Of course, its sequel as well. And this is the third installment of this film series. The plot is basically centers around 28 years after the infection has broke out and in the zombie apocalypse. A group of survivors lived in a small island just outside the main land itself. And of course, one survivor goes out to the mainland to venture in the darker heart of it. Now, to give you my history on the 28 Days movies, I've never seen any of those movies, but till now I've rewatched the first two before I went and saw this new one. So to give my official thoughts on the first two, I love the first one. I thought the first one was well made. It's well shot, well directed by Danny Boyle. And of course, the acting is all around brilliant. I liked it. It's a really good film. I thought it was a brilliant movie. The sequel that came out in 2007, just 5 years after the first one, it was decent. It was watchable. Definitely the weakest, but it has some entertaining moments, especially the helicopter scene, which the helicopter scene was just entertaining as hell. So 28 years later, this is the film that has a lot of people anticipating for this film. So I kind of went in, okay, let's see what this film does. It's Danny Boyle coming back to the first one. Let's see if he can bring something fresh to the table and hopefully, keep the same kind of formula-ish to it. But I was kind of hoping to see where the story goes. And to sum it up, I'd say it's actually pretty good. Now, is it perfect? Not necessarily, but I did enjoy it. It may not be for everyone. This could divide some few audiences, depending how you view this film. If you're a fan of this for a long time, like the first two, some of the choices they make is kind of questionable, but I'll try and keep it dense just in case I keep it spoilers. But I will talk about the spoiler at the end, which you've just read the ending. The ending was really questionable, to say the least. I would just say the ending is questionable. I'll get to that later, but I'll start off with the positives. I would say Danny Boyle's directing here is actually really well made. It's well shot. It actually filmed with, funny thing is, I just looked it up. I heard from other reviewers saying this, but he actually filmed with a digital phone, his own iPhone 15, filming the camera, way certain shots, the way the angle looks, and just everything that he films, it looks like he filmed on a phone, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it felt like he filmed on the phone, but the way he did it is just so unique. How he made that film, which I don't know how he did it, but that is very interesting to say the least. And, Alex Garland's writing here is great as always. I think he gave the characters some great dialogue and certain funny aspects. It does have some funny moments. It's not trying to be dark and gloomy. It does try to add some levity to it, so it's not trying to take itself too seriously. It does get a little bit campy, like I said, with the ending, which we'll get to in a moment, but the whole heart and soul of the script of the story is about a boy and his mother. Spike, played by Alfie Williams, who is brilliant, by the way. He is excellent. He's a show stealer. He brought that performance of his character. And of course, you've got Jodie Comer as the mother of Spike's character. And she was good as well. She has this illness. I'll try to keep it under wraps, or keep it non-spoiler, because I don't want to spoil certain stuff, what ill she has. As far as this story goes, I think the heart of the story is about a boy and a mother, which I did like. And I don't want to give away the illness of her character, because I want to try to keep it, just keep it condensed. I want to try to keep it condensed as much as I can. But the way they handle it, it was pretty good. I do like the mother and son relationship. We do have the father-son relationship before, which we have Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who plays Spike's father, Jamie. Aaron Taylor-Johnson, he's not in the movie that much. He's only in the first half of it. He wasn't in the second act. You do see him a bit at the end of the third act, which kind of shame, because I really do like Aaron Taylor-Johnson. He was good, but I wish we could have seen more of him. But at the same time, I kind of understand why they put him in the backside of it, because we want to focus on Alfie and his relationship with his mum. I thought that was, for what it is, to tell that story. And as far as everyone else, Ralph Fiennes was great as the Doctor, who's in the film, which he's not in the movie that much. He doesn't appear till the end of the second act and come up to the climax of the film. He was actually quite good. The rest of the acting is great. I can't really fault the actors. All of them give 100% into their performances, and the zombie effects, the blood, the gore, over the top of the violence, it's all there. You do get sense of that stuff, and certain choices that Danny Boyle makes is certain shots he made, which I've got to mention, with the certain imagery that the red filter he uses, especially when you see zombies with the eyes and the red, imagery. And of course, there's one particular scene that is kind of gross out, disturbing, is when one of the zombies rips the deer's head off, like just pull its head out and put it top of the tree, which was so disturbing, but yet it's really gruesome. It's not shy away from the blood and gore, because it's a 15 rating. It could have been like an 18 rating, or if you live in America, rated R. It's really, really, gruesome as hell. And, the editing is good, but there are a couple of shots it does get a little bit jazzy, which this is a negative, but the editing is a little bit, jumpy. It goes back and forth and certain stuff. It just kind of goes shaky cam or certain shots taken, and some of the questionable still frame image, like Danny Boyle uses the phone when one of the characters uses a bow now, it shoots through the zombie through the head or the chest or the heart, more like. But the way the character gets shot, kills a zombie, and it does like a 360 turn and goes back, it's kind of like distracting a little bit. It does get overused. It just becomes across a little bit like, okay, we get it, Danny, we don't need to keep showing us that. I think the biggest problem is, now the story is simple. It is the heart story is about the modern sun, but it feels like the script itself doesn't really stand on its own thing, because this film is shot back to back with a sequel that's coming out, I believe it's in January next year, with the 28 years later, the Bloodstone or Bonestone, I think it's called, whatever the telefilm is called. I didn't get a chance to probably look at the proper title. It does have some idea going for it, the script, but it feels like it's just a giant setup movie. It just feels like, oh yeah, we're setting up for this next film, here's the next film, see you next year. It doesn't get enough time to stand on its own ground, or at least have some kind of, justify its own existence of a movie. And I will say this, I'm just going to jump right into the spoiler, because the ending was a little bit questionable. Spoiler alert. So there you are. You haven't seen the film, get to this timeline where we'll talk about, how we feel about the movie overall. When Alfie gets chased by these zombies, and of course they get stuck in the corner like it's a dead end, it's not till Jack O'Connell, who's in this film, who's only in the minor role of the film, and basically he's part of this cult. Basically he dressed up as Jimmy Savile. I kid you not, Jimmy fucking Savile. The moment I saw that, I literally went, what the fuck? Some of the audience, the screening that I went with some group of audiences, they were laughing. They were pissed themselves laughing. They're laughing hysterical, and I'm just sitting there. I can't say they're confused, but I kind of laughed a little bit. And then after they kill the zombies, and this silly Teletubbies song comes on, and then they do the one, and then they do a jump off, and they start killing these infected. I'm like, what the fuck? It's questionable. At the same time, it's kind of cringe at the same time. I don't know if it was done intentionally or being really funny, but I don't know. That's kind of dumb. At the same time, it is kind of funny, but at the same time, it's kind of dumb. Spike said to Jim, the character, Jack Cole's character, he says, who are you? And he says, I'm Jimmy. Yeah, his name is Jimmy, or Jimmy Crystal, that's his name. And the way the film ended, it's kind of like ended abruptly, and that was it. And I thought, oh, okay, so that's kind of ended in a certain way. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, I was like, it took me a while to adjust it in. I'm kind of thinking, is that necessary to do that? But again, I don't know if that's Danny Boyle's choice, or is it Alex Garland's choice, or is it the studio? I don't know. That being said, I do think 28 Years Later is a pretty good film. It's not perfect. It definitely has some issues with the editing, certain story choice. It does feel like a setup movie, and the way the film ended, it does feel a little bit unearned. I liked it. It was good. I had a good time, but I did feel like they could have done better. But hopefully the next one will be a lot better. But that being said, I do think it's better than 28 Weeks Later. I will say that in a positive note. I'm going to give 28 Years Later a B+. Overall, guys, comment down below and tell me, what do you think of 28 Years Later? Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you think it's alright, or do you hate it? Whatever the case is, comment down below and tell me what you think. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time, see ya.